Man, bad news. Everything okay over there?
Yeah, we had no audio, but I think it's fixed now.
Okay. You can hear me now. All right.
They got us.
We'll double check on this.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you.
So audio is there. Yeah,
Mercury's in retrograde, man. This is a lot of stuff.
But the whole Mercury thing's been working out good for us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm with that. There's absolutely nothing working against us. And everything is an opportunity. And so even this morning with this late start, we found an opportunity here, some technology that we need to upgrade. And so, you know what I'm saying? I'm ever optimistic and hopeful, even whatever challenges come our way.
That's right. Yeah. That's right, man.
So you already know. And so today, our live guest is Draze Experience. Draze is in town. He got a lot going on. Man, Seattle kid made good. He's down in LA these days. Here in Seattle right now, he's down in LA. Man, he places so much music, especially like all these Netflix shows and Netflix movies and everything else. He's also got his own projects going on, and also Through the Eyes of Art, the series that's been there every year at Mopop. So he's going to join us, and we're going to do something different here in the interview section. You're going to go on the interview side, and then we're going to break, and then I'll talk to Draze as well. But big story right now, tragic story. And, it was crazy. And I tell people that it's a bit different of Converge than a lot of other media outlets here, the bigger media outlets, because we report on the story. And a lot of times we're in the story. We know people directly affected and everything else. Let me put up this overlay here. This is Seattle Times. Seattle police kill person believed to have shot two in the Central District. And it was wild last night because, we have Converge has somebody that we work very closely with. That's very much part of our family that lives in that building. And, it's almost in real time. I'm getting reports over there. It's like, it's a shooting going on over there at the NAM building. And so I start calling this one of our coworkers who lives in the building. I couldn't reach the coworker, but I know a few other people who live in the building. So then I'm calling people in the building, and they're looking out the window and they're just giving me a play-by-play over the phone, which was a lot. And then video, which was a lot, and everything else. And ultimately I made it to the scene last night. I talked to Deputy Chief Nolet, but man, it's crazy. What the police are saying is that the suspect, who is now deceased, and we know who he is, but they haven't released his name. So we're not going to release his name either. You know what I'm saying? We'll go on those lines. The suspect shot two people who were in a car. One of those individuals is now deceased. The second person is at Harborview, I believe in stable condition. And what the SPD is saying is they arrived on the scene. The gunman then went and shot at them, and they're saying that they killed the gunman right there. It was pronounced dead on the scene. Victim who was deceased was basically arrived to Harborview DOA. I got a short clip right here from, who is this from? This is from King 5.
Investigators in Seattle trying to figure out why a man shot two people, killing one of them, and that suspect also dead after a shootout overnight with police. King 5's Amy Moreno live at Harborview this morning. Amy, what's the latest on the second victim this hour?
Well, they tell us one person died on the way to the hospital. That other person here at Harborview, well, we're told it's a woman who is in satisfactory condition. Now, the call came into police last night about 9:15. Police say the initial 911 calls, someone said that they heard shots. Another person said they actually saw a man fire a gun. Police say they arrived on the scene quickly and heard multiple gunshots. Officers saw a man with a gun who pointed it at them. Police say he started shooting. They fired back and shot and killed him. They went into the parking lot area of the Northwest African American Museum. It's a shared parking lot with some apartments in the area. And that's where they found two victims who had been shot inside a car.
Right. And so that clip right there for King 5. And like, we personally know a lot of people who live in that building. One thing that I talked to the police about last night is they said that they don't think that this was directly related to this occupation that's also happening over there at the Coleman building, the occupation Omari Tahir. And that's the other thing, is, it's Omari Tahir, Omari, and people are calling me like, yo, I mean, it was kind of hectic last night trying to figure everything out. And I mean, this is just a tragic situation all the way around.
It really is. Oh, and you really hit the nail on the head there when you talk about how it's not just us being part of the media, but because we're really part of the community. My line was lighting up last night when this all was going down. I saw Future Crystals was out there. We had the Black Action Coalition. There was a lot of folks that were out there streaming. And honestly, people were trying to piece together certain things. Our buddy Joey Weiser was out there. And honestly, there was folks just trying to get the information to community, because again, anytime we see these officer involved shootings, the community begins to be like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And this was really an unfortunate set of events. A lot of folks saying that it looked like, the suspect was out there maybe, yelling at, the void. So there was a lot of stuff coming in last night.
I would say this is that there is a lot of information that we at Converge have, from being on the phone or, doing real time, everything else. But what we won't do here is we won't delve into a lot of things that aren't totally substantiated. I talked to several eyewitnesses and some of everything else, but I mean, I don't feel comfortable in going into all of that, what I'm saying right now. I will say this though is what gets the headlines, of course, and what we see across the headlines is, this, whether you say officer involved shooting, other people are calling it different things, is that it's the loss of life there at the Northwest African American Museum. The victim, unidentified at this point, is now dead. And what shouldn't be left out of this conversation is that there is another victim as well that's dead. There's someone that's up there at Harborview, and the trauma of these people who live in this building. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's some things that are also just being left out of the conversation as well. These people that live in the building. And I talked to our colleague, and who lives there, and a few people who live in the building, and what I'm saying, it's crazy. I think it's important that these victims as well are included here in this conversation. We witnessed way too many things over the summer, like with our own eyes, witnessed quite a few murders, literally, whether it was by gun or it was by car on I-5 and some everything else. And I just know that there's a lot to this story. Yeah. And I hope that people look at all dimensions of it, and especially these victims.
I think you're so right, because again, oftentimes the victims really, it's important that we uplift that. And what you said about being connected to community, being, 1 or 2 degrees of separation, oftentimes from families that then have to take on and absorb this trauma to a certain degree because they have a loved one who is now gone. That is really the heart of all of this. And I know that from our standpoints here, the ways that I've been experiencing it, sometimes I find out days later and it's like, oh my gosh, like I went to school with this person, or, oh man, I used to see them all the time. So it always boils down to these connections in our community, man. And this is just sad all around, man.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, definitely a tragic turn of events. When I arrived on the scene there last night, Chief Nolet had already given a briefing, and apparently, I guess even Chief Diaz was there on the scene last night. And when I arrived about 11 o'clock, I mean, it was a massive police presence there on MLK. I did see Chief Nolet over there and talk to the chief briefly. That's the chief of investigations, and talk to the chief briefly because I really wanted to, go over these facts as they're relaying. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just tragic. I mean, it's, and it's something that we've just been dealing with death in our community, death death in our community. You know, consistently, a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, watch Converge and they're talking about protest and what's going on with the protests and everything else. And we cover that, and we cover City Hall and what the mayor's office is doing. And now, you know, these different organizations and this roadmap forward and everything else. But, you know, a lot of times people forget about the death and the murders that happen in our community. And I know that everybody is on Twitter today, and that's good. We welcome the conversation, but I would challenge you to keep the same energy when the police ain't involved, though. Keep the same energy, because our young people are dying. And guess what? Converge, one of the only people waving our hands. Hey, everybody, pay attention. People are dying. People are getting murdered in our community. But people is quiet. So this is a good opportunity. Let's keep this same energy when people die in our neighborhood. Let's keep this same energy. All these young people getting murdered, this disproportionate rate of murder and death in our community. Let's keep this same energy.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And it's just like how we were encouraging those who get out there to try to cover these cases. It's important that all of these deaths have that same coverage as Omari is saying, to keep up that same energy. Because again, what we see oftentimes in our community is the sensationalizing of certain things. And it always ends up that, hey, you know, almost like the family is a side note. No, they are the center of this. At the end of the day, it is our community. It is the deaths that he is talking about. And we definitely need to keep up the same energy, period.
Yeah, and that's it. I see a comment in here. It's like, Omari, you're tiptoeing around the issue. Not tiptoeing around the issue. And when people are ready to come on record, I talked to a lot of people yesterday on background, off the record, in real time, eyewitness and everything else, but not with their intention of me coming here on the show and so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. Right. You know, it's a time for that, you know, and it'll come out just like we know everybody's name who's involved here. We're not releasing no names because the police ain't released names. You know what I'm saying? There is a protocol around things. And guess what? We got time to go deep into this issue. Maybe not necessarily this morning, because we're going to wait for things to settle out. And we're going to wait for things to be released. But we're not tiptoeing around nothing. And one thing for sure, we're not never tiptoed around is this violence that occurs in our community. Whether it's black on black violence, whether it's police violence, this violence that occurs in our community. You know, and I mean, we need to have a willingness to take this head on. And like I said, man, people need to let's keep this same energy. I know that Derek Wheeler and you know some Buki Gates and Willard Jimerson, they have some stuff that's coming up about gun violence intervention and everything else. I hope that like people are as engaged and want to push that and support that and amplify that as well. Right. You know, and so I'm not saying that people should be less as engaged today around what's going on. I want people to continue this energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that Converge has never been, it has not been about the sensationalizing pieces of all of this. So for someone to say tiptoeing, that's exactly what's not happening. And always at the root of how we bring stories is we think about the people in our community. As Omari says, oftentimes centering ourselves on humanity. That's what this is about. And being able to bring in those elements that oftentimes are forgotten. That's what we're here for. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that, Oh. Absolutely. Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, because it's all a loss. Anytime we lose people in our community, it's all a loss. It's a loss, you know, and I look one of the reasons why we're saying that we wanted to continue to address this violence issue within our own community is I looked at how some of the other media, they really humanize victims that don't look like us. Mm-hmm. But when we're victims, we're never humanized, you know. But a lot of this stuff, you know, it starts in our own community. We have to recognize the humanity in our own community. You know, we need to radiate that humanity out there to the world. And, you know, we see that we lose people in our community in the most violent ways. And there is no sense of humanity about their life. Most people don't even care. Most people, they'll see a headline and they'll keep moving. Mm-hmm. You know, they'll keep moving. And it's important that we acknowledge, you know what I'm saying? We acknowledge the loss, we acknowledge the victims, we acknowledge the trauma. This over there now, and you know, let's happen in the parking lot. This is where people park their cars and leave the building. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, you know, I mean, I'm not going to get on a rant about this or anything else, but like I said, I would encourage people out there, let's keep this same energy around what's going on out there with any loss of life in our community. You know, let's stay this proactive. Let's really make every Black life matter.
That's right. Absolutely. That's what the heart of all of this is about. And as Omari said, I'm here just sending some love right now to the families of the victims in this case, and also to those who looked out of their windows and witnessed this traumatic event. And now maybe you're dealing with some trauma. One of the beautiful things that I saw last night was neighbors coming out to say, look, let's talk to each other about what we just witnessed. Let's be there for one another. Again, siding on the centering of us as human beings and of us as loving beings, and really centering themselves in that. And I encourage any of you who have witnessed this, who have experienced trauma in this case right here, that you really lean to those who love you, lean to those who are your neighbors that are willing to talk with you and share each other's experiences, so that you do not just absorb the trauma on an individualistic level, because that's what really ends up degrading a lot of your system and your body. So I think it's important to note that, be there for one another.
Hey, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back in the studio, we've got recording artist Draze. And man, it's be good to catch up with Draze. You know what I'm saying? Also, it's community discussion with Draze, and then also he has his TV show, Building Black Wealth. He's doing some stuff with Angela Rye. He's played some music. His Black history, like Draze is really on the move. We're gonna take a short break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media. Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I am so elated, honestly, to bring in our guest for today, doing big things, Mr. Draze. What up, bro?
What's good, family?
You know what? Yeah, I'm so good, and you're bringing some sunshine with you today. We appreciate that.
Hey, I do what I can. You know what I mean? I do what I can.
I think you had to do it, man, because LA was giving you sunshine. You had to, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that it travels with you, huh?
Look, I love the city. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm not mad at that 80-degree weather that I'm in either. You know what I mean? So.
I know you're not. Well, you've been doing so many amazing things in the community, and I know that Omar is going to be talking to you about some things, but I really wanted to talk about some of your beginnings, because you really come from community, and that's one of the things we talk about often on this show is how connected we are to community. That's why when we say fam, we mean fam, right? And so I want to hear about your beginnings in community and the roots that got you to where you are today.
Man, well, shout out to Converge. I think you guys are dope. So the fact that you guys can keep me tapped in when I'm not here. But you know what? I'm like anybody from the town, born and raised, Central District, South End. So I was born, raised, Seattle, lived in the CD. and then moved to the South End, South Orchard Street, man. So I feel like I've touched both sides of the town. When I look at it, when you talk about Black community, it's just what I embody. But a lot of my youngest upbringing is Langston Hughes Cultural Arts Center. Being up there, if you were ever at Langston Hughes Cultural Arts Center back in the day, and you heard marimbas popping up at the center, that was us. You know what I mean? So we was in there. I feel like I spent half my childhood up at Langston Hughes, but that was me. And then obviously it just turns into what you do in community. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I think, you know, when we talk about our upbringing, we are so rooted in the institutions that were right here around us. Langston Hughes and I was a Langston Hughes kid, always been a thespian. For those of you that don't know, that's an actress, you know what I'm saying? And Langston Hughes was definitely a part of my start in terms of cementing myself in that work. And so I love knowing that you too were a Langston Hughes kid. It's one of those things that, you know, when you start talking to people in the community, there are some folks that stand out, because also too, one of the things that really roots us is the mentors that we had. Yeah. Who are some of the mentors that really helped to shape you and your talent and bring it out?
Funny. And I'm going through the music lane. There's so many different ways that I touch the city. So if we're talking musically, again, through Langston Hughes Cultural Arts Center, I was in all the talent shows. So I was in Summer Break 85. You know what I mean? I was weak, but I was in it. You know what I mean? So everybody, Isaiah Anderson, you know what I mean? A mentor for me. Steve Sneed, a mentor for me. Darcel, a mentor for me. Everybody who at that time was throwing all of the shows. And then as I grew spiritually as a man, you know, you start to develop. I went to Mount Calvary Christian Center right there in the Central District. So Pastor Witherspoon, Grady Austin, Robert Delgado, Daryl Powell. There's so many men, when you say mentors, who helped shape the man that I have become, you know what I mean? And just trying to deposit in me the idea of being about humans, about community, about family, and all those layered things that are important in Black community.
You know what? I mean, I don't know, but you talk to almost anybody in the CD, you're mentioning my childhood. I'm like, see, there he goes. I was at Mount Calvary Christian Center too. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the leadership there and all the folks that have really been pouring into youth. And one of the things that I'm excited to showcase to our audience is a video that you did, Irony on 23rd. Hold on, let's show it and we're going to discuss right after this.
They say that 23rd is booming, man, 23rd is ruined. 23rd Psalm in my palm and it's so confusing. The book says he makes us lie in green pastures. This can't be what he mean. I mean, I'm looking for answers. Tired of flipping chapters, praying, waiting for raptures. Shout out to King, but where are all the pastors? Ann Murray says there's so many contributing factors. Everybody's like we putting greens at the Masters. I guess it's just too much irony for me. I don't judge those who smoke. Half my dudes smoke weed, I mean. It's just too much irony for me. The church and the weed house separated by 2 feet. There's kids who play in this building. I don't give a damn what you believe. The mosque, the synagogue, the school should be next to places like these. The greed, the lust, the insatiable appetite, the conscious sin, the inability to sacrifice. 2 feet? That's not even a wingspan. Are we so gone that we can't practice a little discretion? There's nothing to think about. This is not okay. And what the hell are these politicians thinking anyway? We pay taxes too. 23rds all toe up. Then our businesses fail. I guess the hood is for sale. The enemy is faceless. And it's the system that rapes us. Empty bike lanes. Guess the hood needed a facelift. I play the hood ain't the same. And they call me tasteless. Followed by the classic line. Draze, I'm not a racist. Man, I'm so relieved you said it, it must be true. It would resound louder if your actions would speak for you. My bad, this is just too much irony for me. I heard that Earls is leaving, that's why I got that sax grieving. We was redlined in, but now we blackballed out so they could sell green. Had to paint the flag on the crosswalk for ourselves. It's way too much irony for me. Ike may be kin to you, but he's no uncle to me. I gave my heart to God in that church. I ain't pushing religion. I watch families restored and folks overcome their addictions. I walk these streets praying for crackheads and fiends like they was my own. So Ike is no uncle to me. How many brothers went to jail on this corner for moving dime bags? In a week, he doing what, a couple $100 grand? Montana said we went to jail for the same thing. I guess White is right. It makes me want to sing. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? We can sit around all day and talk about this Europe in, but if you shop there, I mean, you're just as guilty as him. This is just me, no bullhorn or picket sign. One human to another asking if you would politely decline. Is it possible to be socially responsible at the same time? There's other shops on the hill, it's like a 5-minute drive. These gentrifiers are lies, as greed masked as care. Painful watching my words fall on these deaf ears, and it screams with irony. These Union Street hustlers have become the man's customers. I guess it's too much irony for me. The place of our ruin, it's a street called Union. Damn the irony. And it screams with irony. The place of our ruin, it's a street called Union.
Wow. Draze, tell us about your inspiration for that. I'm trying to keep myself together. I mean, just beautiful, first of all, beautiful, and so encapsulating of what so many of us on the ground talk about all the time. Please tell our audience what this is about.
I mean, for me, I had just finished an album and I was done with the album. And then I had pulled up to the church one day and I was going to talk to somebody at the church and it was cracking out there. I mean, it was 1990, you know what I mean? 1990s cracking outside, but it was weird, right? It was the lights and Uncle Ike's and just all of this going on. And I literally sat out on the street corner and wrote the song, just sitting there on the corner like, yo, this is nuts. Right? Because I think I still had more to get off on the concept of gentrification, but it wasn't about that. This song was more about the impacts of gentrification. As a Black man, you see all of these contradictions inherent, especially on the left. It's easy to see contradictions on the right, but we don't know how to deal with the contradictions of the left. The fact that when Democrats are in power, nothing changes in the numbers for us. Nothing ever shifts. And yet we continue to tout this like, this party's for us, right? All that being said, Seattle, who claims to be very liberal, will continue to allow injustices like this. They rolled over that church. They literally looked at the church and said, yo, you got a teen center? Not enough events happening at the teen center. Should have been 6 events a week and not 4. Like stuff like that I'm like, so when you see the inherent like hypocrisy of it all, my job to community is not the same as yours. Right. You're a reporter in one way. You just heard O talking about not explaining certain things in a story because he has to wait because there's a time for that. That makes sense. That's good journalism, right? I have a different role. I'm an artist. As an artist, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. I just say what I need to say. I don't care if it's offending you. And I know everyone, that's not my intention, but my intention is to tell a transparent story the same way somebody might write a story about Hitler or a movie about anyone, right? Mm-hmm. It might be offensive, if you will, to the topic, but this seemed like a very small story that no one was talking about. And I just wanted to write about it. It pained me. It hurt so many people. in the hood, you talk to anybody, we were all just kind of like, yo, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is exactly why during our 4th of July event, we were right there on 23rd and Union. And again, it was like, no, we had to bring the messaging to the streets. Yeah. And this is about education too, because a lot of people are just misinformed, man. And your music, your that right there was such an educational piece for so many who just don't even understand the irony, literally. So I love that you titled it Irony. I love that you were out there showcasing this is probably not at all what our ancestors thought about when they thought about us thriving in place. And so we talk about gentrification a lot here on Converge because it affects us again, just like Omari was saying with the traumas. They affect us because we are born and bred of the community. It's not something that we get to abstractly report on. This is literally our lived experience. I just thank you so much for being real, being transparent in that moment, being honest about what you saw. The 2 feet, that just struck my heart. I never even did the measurement, and for you to sit there and say it's not even a wingspan, I mean, that was really breathtaking. I'm glad that we're going to keep you on. I know Omari has his segment next. My last question to you, because I saw that there, you were talking about the folks that really poured into you. How are you pouring into the next generation?
Wow. A lot. Doing as much as I possibly can. I have a really big heart for the next generation. So 1,000 different things, Building Black Wealth, a movement that we launched really to help Black businesses, but it's all about intergenerational. I'm launching coming up here next month, a vision school for young people. You have to be 18 to 22, but for people who want to find their passions and their visions, looking for some young, you ain't even got to all be Black, to be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to find your vision and your purpose, that's where you know what I mean, in this moment right here. But we've done so many things. The Hood Classic, shout out to all of the people I saw that were commenting about the Hood Classic. We did that. That was about basketball in the community. Man, we got so many things coming, you know what I mean, that I think that tie intergenerationally, but young people are always at the center of it because I think this group of young people are neglected in a way that so many others have not been. There is a lack of community programs and volunteers for programs. It was much easier to find big brothers, big sisters, tutors, those things that no one wants to do. You know what I mean? That's why we when we see what Dom's doing and the work he's doing, we all get excited. Why? Because ain't nobody want to do it. You be like, yo, can you come down to the community center? Love and Hip Hop's on tonight. I can't come. You know what I mean? Like, our priorities are so off as adults. So when I see somebody who's willing to just give random Tuesdays and Thursdays, shout out to Acts on Stage as well, how they're working with young people. When people are willing to donate their time, I don't gotta be here. That moves me.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm so excited, Draze, to have you on. We're going to be taking a short break right now, you guys. When we come back, Big O is in the chair, and he's going to continue with Draze. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My man Draze, just a quick change over here. You know what I'm saying? before COVID, we have everybody on the set together, but we want to keep everything spaced. So, man, you mentioned it in the previous segment there with Trayana. We talked a little bit about this building black wealth that you got going on. And people might not know that you actually did a special Seahawks edition. You partnered up with the Seattle Seahawks. You took over their social media. Well, actually, first of all, why don't you tell people what building black wealth is all about and the concept of it, and then we'll play a few clips.
Building Black Wealth is a live business marketplace in the spirit of QVC. So you get to come on, you get to expose people to, it's a solution-based concept, right? So we can't keep pointing out issues if we can't get the solution. The solution is everyone can support black businesses. We have everything. We have black cell phone companies. We got black, we got clothes and stuff like that. But most people don't know we make refrigerators and televisions and all of these different things. I wanted to create a show to expose people to these different things. Like you said, Angela Rye partnered with me on one, Layla Ali, the Seattle Seahawks, and so many more, you know what I mean? Just to be able to expose people to some black menaces they may not know about.
All right, so we got our first clip right here. This was you talking to Marcus Trufant.
What was it like for you trying to transition into going, I'm going to be 100% businessman, which means I'm going to have to take risk and invest?
Right. Yeah. There, of course, was a lot of fear there, a lot of uneasiness. But what you do is you kind of, I know I wanted to take small chunks, not try to bite off too much and kind of creep into it, but eventually you kind of just got to throw yourself into it, man, and just hope that you land on your feet.
All right, so that was you right there, Marcus Trufant. I'm gonna play one more clip where you're talking to Jordan Babineau, and we'll talk about that experience you had talking with partnering with the Seahawks, and then also with some of the local business owners that you brought on there as well.
Everything around. Let's just talk. Since we're building, black wealth, let's talk about finance. Yeah. I had to bootstrap this and, take, my own cash to start it. And I know a lot of, many people, many athletes can do it and throw money at it and be like, okay, cool. I lost a couple $100,000. I'm still good. Well, that wasn't my case. And it wasn't just so much about the money. I made it to this level because I could recognize mistakes and then get better from them.
So what was that like, talking to these guys, and then some of the other current and former players of the Seahawks, and then also some of the local business owners?
Man, that was so dope. I mean, you have Cliff Averill, Super Bowl champ. You had Justin Forsett, who many people don't know has his own company that's now in Target, right? So a lot of these guys, we assume, oh, they're multimillionaires. They just got crazy dough. No, they got to manage their money like anybody else. You know what I mean? So it was really good to see that these guys are more than just athletes and see the different businesses they're launching. But for me, what probably gave me more joy and the Seahawks was being able to do something that highlighted other businesses in Seattle, right? And so having the opportunity to we had Avenue South on there, which was like a seasoning company, right? So we've got food, the Jerk Shack, and all these different places that are like serving food, having different companies. There was a company that makes supplements on there. I mean, it was, I don't know, for me, there's no greater joy than having people reach out to us and go, oh my God, I didn't know that Seattle had that. I'm going to start to support this business.
Right. And this is also, we carry Building Black Wealth. I know that you guys took some time off and be going back into production on that.
Yep. We getting ready. Matter of fact, I mean, we here, we might as well put the announcement out, right? Like 2 weeks from now, we're getting ready to do another Building Black Wealth in collaboration with the Museum of Pop Culture. So as a part of our Black History Month celebration, a lot of people know we do a Black History Month celebration called Through the Eyes of Art. And so it's a different world. You got to go virtual, right? You can't assemble. It's one of the biggest prominent Black History Month celebrations every year. It was like, how do we do it? So every Friday we come up with new conversations. It's going to be panels, the whole nine, but one of them will absolutely do a Building Black Wealth episode. We are featuring restaurants in Seattle, not just the ones you know about. So you will have your Fats Chicken and Waffles on there, but you're going to also learn about the Pizza Addict, which is a pizza company, Black-owned pizza company, right? Right here in the state of Washington. There's drink companies. There's just, I don't want to let it all out, but you guys definitely want to lock in with this, and you'll be able to view it on Converge Media as well.
Right here on Converge. And, you know, we were supposed to start this segment with this. Today got a little bit discombobulated. People see this in the break, but I'm gonna play this one time here for you to see this, because people always ask, who made this song? What's it all about?
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Guess if you ain't on the table, you on the menu, you know? That is Seattle's own by yours truly, Draze, man. And I got to shout out Otieno Terry, because he is the voice singing. I did it for the city. I did it for the love. You know, so it's all 206. Right. 206 embodied.
You know, we heard that song and it was like, yo, that's Converge, Seattle's own. You know, we did it for the city, we did it for the love, we did it for our people, we did it for us. I'm like, yo, this is our joy. So, you know, that's our song now.
Hey, I love it. To me, that's what I wanted. You know?
Hey, and speaking of that, we got a few minutes left here, man. Mm-hmm. You know, I said in the intro, man, local kid done good. I was gonna say it. You know, down in LA, tell everybody what you're doing over there, like with music placements, and you're placing songs on Netflix shows and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so some years ago, I got into music writing for television, as you said. And so I've written in the past year, I've had over 100 placements. Recently was nominated for writing the best song on television. Love and Hip Hop, Empire just did, The Little Women on Lifetime, Sports Center, NFL Network. You name it, man. There's a lot of shows and things that you're watching. I just did like a whole country music thing, and I just saw the ad on this country show, The Dogs of War. And I mean, it's mind blowing when I'm sitting here. I'm like, people don't even know some of the stuff I'm writing, and I'm like, yo, I wrote that song, and that's a country song, and I did that. You know what I'm saying? So.
You know, it's crazy because on Converge we talk a lot about humanity, but man, what I see from you all the time is humility. Because you really are at some of the, I guess you say, the biggest tables in entertainment in America and internationally. And I mean, you've been doing this for years, but you're always showing up. It's the same Draze. You know what I'm saying? It's the same effort. Every year you're through the eyes of art, and you're doing these things over there to expose Black art and everything else. Melvin Freeman told me the blind fly guy. The fly blind guy.
Yeah.
Don't kill me, Melvin. But Melvin told me that it was at your event was the first time someone offered to buy his art. And like, you know, you're integral to that story. That event is integral to the story. And that was his first realization, like, I can get paid for this. Yeah. You know, and so, you know, a lot of people might not know the different contributions that you've had. And I think the best thing about you, Draze, is, like I said, you walk with such a sense of humility, and you walk with such a sense of purpose in continuing to want to do as much as you can for the community. And man, salute, brother.
Man, I really appreciate that. Like, that means a lot, because it's what we're trying to embody, right? And so I do think sometimes I could get a little further if I stun it on people, but I think that's whack. I've never thought, you know what I mean? Like, some people need you to carry yourself like, yo, I got money, or I'm stunting, or, you know, whatever, right? But I'm grown, right? I got more money than I've ever had, and I spend less than I ever have. You know what I mean? It's a whole different ball game. But what actually gives you joy, what you just said, the things like, man, you know how many Aramis Hammer told me that? She was like, yo, you launched my career at Through the Eyes of Art with the art deal, right? So all of these different artists have been a part of Through the Eyes of Art, have launched their stuff, and have really, really gone on to blow. And so in Seattle, she did a mural for KXP, and obviously she was a part of the Black Lives Matter mural with you guys and everybody, and anybody who's doing anything in the town, she's a part of it. And so it's just dope to me to have, I like to be broke. Everything in, but not broke as in money broke. I need to be broken, meaning someone saying, yo, life is all about somebody going, yo, look at that. I've never seen that before. That's awesome. And when somebody who's a gatekeeper in a position of power is able to do that, it changes the life for somebody else. And so if we don't, sometimes we can get so jaded in this business, we like everything to be transactional. That's not even Black culture. Black culture has always been about like, yo, that's dope, giving honor and praise where it's due. And we can't lose that. I don't think that as people, African Americans in particular, when we come into this country, our job is not to assimilate. It's to bring our dopeness and to change it. What we're seeing is the lack of Blackness in different spaces. You get more in spaces, and now we bend it. So I don't say leave the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. That's hard for some people. I say go in there and change it. Be yourself. Make them have to adjust and change to you. Because if we went all the way left, we'd be screwed. If we went all the way right, we'd be screwed. Right? What do we need? We need balance. We need people of color across the board to be let into the table. So now we have parties that represent humanity. Either that or let's splinter into like some third and fourth parties, but that's another discussion. So.
Trey Holiday back there like, right. Draze, man, it's been a pleasure. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're always welcome here anytime. We look forward to airing the next episode of Building Black Wealth. Brother, you stay at it, you stay on top of it, and you keep making the Central District and the South End and Seattle proud.
My man, let's do it. Hey, everybody, please, I gotta say, please look out through the eyes of art. Every Friday, go to the mopop.org and listen to these dope conversations. We're talking about health and wellness. It's called The Cookout, but we're talking health and wellness. I know you think that the only thing killing Black folks is guns. No, we are dying to a fork, a knife, and a spoon. The food we eat is killing us. We need access to healthy food. I know that's not sexy. I know everybody ain't talking about it, but it's the real. We're dying from diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and we're going to start a conversation about eating organic foods so that we can live longer, healthier lives. The mopop.org every Friday, 7 p.m. Lock in with us.
There it is. We're going to take a short break right now, and Bay Holiday returns to the set. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie. This practice. Pondering my next move. Staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missed my window. Praying like a Baptist. Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Trey Holiday.
Hey.
Did you know we got a TikTok now?
I can't believe it. I gotta see this in action. Oh.
All right, you asked for it. Where are we at right? So we got a TikTok. Nikki Barron's been trying to get us to get producer Nikki Barron, been trying to get us on this TikTok here for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And I've been like, and so, you know, this is why she's an overachiever. She'll find a way to remove all my obstacles and everything. So I was in here the other day. She was like, here's the camera, here's a light, here's a script, here's the graphics. Sit down, read. Yes, Nikki, here you go.
Black History, the Seattle edition. Yo, the Black Panther Party Seattle chapter was the party's first chapter outside of Oakland, California, founded in April 1968 by brother Aaron Lloyd Dixon, who was only 19 at the time and was appointed as captain of the chapter. So when the party was barely 3 months old, Seattle police raided the headquarters and chapter captain Aaron Dixon was arrested for allegedly stealing a typewriter. This touched off a full-scale 3-day riot in Seattle. Dixon would later be acquitted of the theft charge, right? But this marked the beginning of 2 years of intense clashes between police and the Black Panthers in Seattle. So within 2 years, the Seattle chapter grew from neighborhood storefront office to the main headquarters, providing free breakfast for school children, free transportation to visit family members in prison, and a free medical clinic. And that medical clinic lives on today as Carolyn Downs on ECS.
So we're on TikTok at Converge Media. So if you're a TikToker, go ahead and make sure and follow us. We'll follow you right back.
Oh my God.
What do you think? That was my TikTok debut.
Well, you know, all I got to say is me and you be in sidestep, man. I didn't even know that you're going to be talking about Aaron Dixon. And Aaron Dixon came on Equity Rising, my podcast that airs on Thursdays. You guys will see that or hear that interview with me and Mr. Dixon this Thursday. Everywhere you find podcasts, you can look up Equity Rising. Man, we're on tandem, man. You was looking good, oh.
That was producer Nikki Barron with her lights and filters and stuff. But before we get out of here, I didn't realize that it was so many people. But you know, I was sitting with my dad in North Carolina when I was down there a few weeks ago, checking on my stepmom Paulette. She had just had her breast cancer surgery, and I was telling my dad, I said, you know what, I'll have to end the show with more meaning. And so me and my dad were sitting there. I was bouncing some things back and forth. And that's what we came up with, you know, go forward in your purpose and go forward in your humanity. And so many people hit us like that. We found a way here for people, if they want to support Converge. This is we've got a coffee cup here, a daily reminder, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. This is very affordable. I think they're like $10 or $12 or something like that. It makes a nice gift. It's a great way to continue to support to keep us on air here at Converge.
I love it. Oh, and I love that you have an amazing father to bounce those great ideas off of. Also, a pioneer in media himself. So again, like, there we go, man.
Yeah, no,
beautiful.
It's been an interesting and a fulfilling ride thus far. Get ready to get out of here, Trey Holiday. Any last words?
You know, I'm just going to say, man, it is Wednesday. We're almost there, guys. Keep up the work. I know I will.
Yeah, and you know, clearly there's quite a few stories that we're tracking here and we're staying on top of here, and especially what happened last night. You know, we want to be able to report back to our community in a responsible manner as to exactly, you know what I'm saying, what occurred holistically around that story, and some of the things there even precede what occurred last night, right? And all the information that's out there, I think we owe it to our community to actually put it out in a full, transparent, in the best way with all the facts.
Yeah.
And so we'll do that. All right, everybody. Here's my reminder. Thanks, Pops. I want to remind you to go forward in your purpose and go forward in your humanity. Till tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.